Did you know that in the ancient land of Sumer, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flowed like veins through a fertile heart, there lived a king named Gilgamesh? He was a man of immense strength and boundless ambition, a demigod born of a mortal mother and the god Lugalbanda. His power was unmatched, his pride unmatched, and his loneliness, too, was unmatched. He ruled the city of Uruk with an iron fist, demanding obedience and exacting tribute. But even a king, even a demigod, can be lonely. Gilgamesh's heart ached for a companion, someone to share his triumphs and his burdens. He yearned for a friend, a confidant, a rival who could push him to his limits. He sought solace in the arms of women, but their fleeting affections only deepened his emptiness. He sought solace in the pursuit of power, but the more he conquered, the more he realized that true power lay not in dominion but in connection. One day, a wise old man, a seer who could see into the heart of the gods, approached Gilgamesh. He spoke of a wild man, a creature of untamed nature, living in the wilderness beyond the city walls. This wild man, Enkidu, was said to be a force of nature, a being of pure instinct and untamed power. He was a threat to the city, a danger to the people, but also, the seer whispered, a potential companion for the king. Gilgamesh, intrigued by the prospect of a challenge, a rival, a friend, set out to find Enkidu. He sent a harlot, a woman of the world, to lure the wild man into civilization. She was to seduce him, to tame him, to bring him to the city. The harlot, a woman of cunning and experience, knew how to play the game. She approached Enkidu, a creature of raw power and untamed beauty, and offered him her body. Enkidu, a creature of instinct, was drawn to her, and in her embrace, he found a connection he had never known before. The harlot, however, was not just a temptress. She was a tool, a weapon in the hands of Gilgamesh. She introduced Enkidu to the ways of civilization, to the pleasures of food and drink, to the comforts of clothing and shelter. She taught him the language of men, the customs of society, the rules of the game. Enkidu, a creature of pure instinct, was transformed by this experience. He learned to control his primal urges, to harness his power, to think and reason like a man. But the transformation was not without its cost. Enkidu, once a creature of untamed freedom, now felt the shackles of civilization. He missed the wildness of his former life, the freedom of the wilderness, the untamed spirit that had defined him. He felt a pang of guilt for betraying his own nature, for succumbing to the allure of civilization. Meanwhile, Gilgamesh, having heard of Enkidu's transformation, was eager to meet his new companion. He invited Enkidu to the city, to a feast in his honor. Enkidu, torn between his old life and his new, reluctantly accepted. He entered the city, a creature of two worlds, a wild man tamed by civilization. Gilgamesh, upon seeing Enkidu, was struck by his power and his beauty. He saw in him a reflection of himself, a kindred spirit, a rival worthy of his respect. He welcomed Enkidu with open arms, offering him a place at his side, a share in his power, a friendship that transcended the boundaries of king and subject. Enkidu, initially hesitant, was drawn to Gilgamesh's charisma and his strength. He saw in the king a kindred spirit, a man who understood the burden of power, the loneliness of greatness. He accepted Gilgamesh's offer, becoming his companion, his confidant, his rival. Together, Gilgamesh and Enkidu embarked on a series of adventures, testing their limits, pushing each other to the edge of their abilities. They hunted lions, wrestled bulls, fought monsters, and conquered enemies. They shared their triumphs and their defeats, their joys and their sorrows. They became more than friends, they became brothers, bound by a shared destiny, a shared purpose. But their adventures were not without their consequences. Their actions, driven by ambition and pride, had repercussions that extended beyond the city walls. They angered the gods, who saw in their actions a challenge to their authority, a threat to the balance of the world. One day, the gods sent a monstrous bull, a creature of immense power and fury, to punish Gilgamesh and Enkidu for their hubris. The bull, a symbol of divine wrath, charged at the city, its hooves shaking the ground, its horns dripping with venom. Gilgamesh and Enkidu, facing their greatest challenge yet, stood their ground. They fought the bull with all their might, their strength and courage tested to the limit. The battle was long and arduous, a clash of titans, a struggle for survival. Enkidu, fueled by his primal instincts, fought with the ferocity of a wild beast. Gilgamesh, driven by his ambition and his pride, fought with the cunning of a king. Together, they managed to slay the bull, but not without a cost. Enkidu, wounded in the battle, was cursed by the gods. He was struck with a fatal illness, a punishment for his transgression, a reminder of the gods' power. He lay dying, his body racked with pain, his spirit fading. Gilgamesh, heartbroken by the loss of his friend, his brother, his rival, watched helplessly as Enkidu's life ebbed away. In his final moments, Enkidu, filled with regret for his actions, for his betrayal of his own nature, for his hubris, spoke to Gilgamesh. He warned him of the dangers of ambition, of the consequences of pride, of the fleeting nature of power. He urged Gilgamesh to seek wisdom, to embrace humility, to find meaning beyond the pursuit of glory. Gilgamesh, devastated by the loss of his friend, listened intently to Enkidu's words. He realized the truth in his friend's words, the folly of his own actions, the emptiness of his pursuit of power. He vowed to honor Enkidu's memory, to live a life of wisdom and compassion, to find meaning beyond the pursuit of glory. Enkidu, with his final breath, whispered a prophecy. He spoke of a future where the gods would be overthrown, where humanity would rise to power, where the world would be transformed. He spoke of a time when the wild and the civilized would merge, when the boundaries between nature and culture would be blurred, when the spirit of Enkidu would live on in the hearts of all who dared to dream of a better world. Gilgamesh, heartbroken but enlightened, buried his friend with honor. He built a great tomb, a monument to Enkidu's memory, a reminder of the power of friendship, the cost of ambition, the fleeting nature of life. He mourned Enkidu's loss, but he also embraced his legacy. He sought wisdom, he embraced humility, he found meaning beyond the pursuit of glory. He became a wise and compassionate ruler, a king who understood the true meaning of power, the true nature of humanity. And so, the story of Gilgamesh and Enkidu became a legend, a tale passed down through generations, a reminder of the power of friendship, the dangers of ambition, the fleeting nature of life, and the enduring spirit of the wild. It became a story of transformation, of redemption, of the search for meaning in a world where the boundaries between nature and culture are constantly shifting, where the spirit of Enkidu lives on in the hearts of all who dare to dream of a better world.